Welcome to another edition of AutoSuccess Executive Spotlight. Today in the AutoSuccess studio, we have leadership from Velocity Automotive here with us. Kalah Hathcock is the Executive Vice President of Velocity Automotive, and Hugh Hathcock is the founder. Welcome to the studio.
Thanks so much for having us. Glad to be here.
Of course, yeah. Thank you for making the trip. Just to begin, I'd love to give our audience a little bit of a background on both of you and how you came to found Velocity and what led you to wanting to start your business.
As most people know me, I started eLead and had eLead CRM for 20 years, and it sold to CDK and 4 years ago. And when that purchase went through, we wanted to stay in the auto industry. We have a lot of family that's been part of our company for over 30 years. So we wanted to stay in the industry, and we were looking for some products that could come in and do some special things for car dealers, and that's what Velocity has turned out to be.
Awesome. And I'm really looking forward to getting into some of the tools that you provide for dealers. But before, I wanted to thank you both on behalf of the entire AutoSuccess team for sponsoring our Champions of Charity program. So for those of you that don't know, our Champions of Charity program is going to honor dealers, vendors, and manufacturers that are giving their resources and financial support to charities. And I know you both have been very involved in different organizations, so I'd love to hear a little bit about what you and Velocity use to give back.
Yeah, the Champions for Charity opportunity was something that I knew that I wanted our company to do right when Brian and Susan, brought the opportunity to us to be able to sponsor that. And I think it's important, sometimes the automotive industry can have a bad rap, but, there's so many great people and great things that these dealerships do for their communities. I mean, dealerships, they're local businesses. They're family businesses. They sponsor and have so much hands-on right there in their communities, small towns, big towns. And then from a vendor standpoint, we sponsor things all the time. Golf tournaments, charity galas, raffles, we make donations, financial donations. We try to spend some time each month doing some community service work. But, we've got, maybe 4 or 5 charities that are real close to us that we do a lot of work with throughout the year and have been working with for several years. One of those is the Giving Hope organization that was founded by the owners of Premier Auto Group. So that one's really cool for us because they literally run it out of a Toyota dealership. That's how it started. And they help so many people in the city of New Orleans and have expanded and now really have, mission work nationwide. But we enjoyed that. We actually were down in New Orleans, 2 months ago, and did some volunteer work with them. And actually there were dealers and vendors from all over the industry that came and helped that weekend and did some hands-on work in New Orleans with us. So that was pretty cool.
We do the Danny Werfel Foundation, Desire Street Ministries. That's been something that we've been a part of since he started that over 10 years ago.
Yeah, that one's pretty special. They go into urban cities and try to build leadership in these, underfunded cities, and it's really a kind of a unique organization. And so we do a lot of work with that one, as well as Aletha's Legacy is one that we work with the founders he lives in Destin now, but he's actually from Liberia and, has seen Civil War and lost family members and had to, leave as a young child. And so he's got a lot of, personal, heartbreaking stories of, things that he's seen and gone through. But we like to get involved with that one. It's been great because it's children, in an orphanage. They literally have nothing. And, we're so blessed. And it's such a great way it's a good example for us to be able to show our kids and teach our kids and, have something to show that's, just so out of the norm for what our day-to-day lives are like. They're living a completely different life. And so there's 56 kids in an orphanage that we're supporting with education, and finally they have 3 meals a day, and they get new clothes at Christmas time and stuff. So it's been really special for us.
That's awesome, and I love the variety of organizations that you're involved with, and I'm looking forward to seeing our Champions of Charities and
we're excited too.
All of the different organizations they're involved with. So thank you again for helping us make that happen to honor those making a difference in our industry.
Yeah.
So back to more of business, as much as we'd love to talk about Champions of Charity all day. I'd love to hear a little bit more about Velocity, and I know you're a newer company, and Recon has been very important these last couple of years. So can you explain a little bit to me how and why Recon has become so important?
When we started Recon 4 years ago, dealers knew they needed it, but they weren't super responsive to making it happen pretty quick. It wasn't a piece of technology that was getting a lot of talk at NADA, just buzzing the industry.
Sure.
That's changed over the last couple of years, as used car and inventory and the pandemic and all the problems that brought with the car shortages. We've seen a huge increase in dealers getting excited about taking their Recon process and cutting it in half by having a technology and a company and a team behind them that has the tools, not just software and technology-wise, but a full team that does that.
Yeah, and in the beginning, we were looking for a solution that we could provide to dealers that would make them money, that had an impact on their business, not just another widget, not just another, something to stay in the automotive industry. I mean, we wanted something that was impactful. And Recon, though we had to come to find out kind of the hard way, was it's so impactful, but we had to kind of educate a lot of the market about the technology, or the lack of technology, really. I mean, dealerships are still, even after 4 years of doing this, there's so many stores that are hand walking paper service receipts, or keeping it, on a Google spreadsheet,
right,
and color coding and having a copy and paste a VIN 15 times to move it through the process. It's just very archaic. And it's just kind of one of those things. It's the way they've always done it. So
right,
why do I need to change that? Why do I need to come in and spend any kind of money, or rock the boat with my service department? So I think we've gotten over that hurdle a lot in the past 3 years, with just kind of changing the frame of mind around reconditioning, and how when you can measure something, that's when changes can be made, right? You can't improve something that you're not measuring.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, they're keeping track of it, but they're not measuring it, and definitely not measuring or setting it to a goal.
And if they're not measuring it, they don't know what problems
Right.
they have.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we were able to come in and address and talk to the dealer about just how much time is really involved in the Recon process, because the average dealer really looked at his Recon process and he almost generalized it by thinking, okay, my car's in mechanical or service for 3 or 4 days. That's how long my
recon
Recon
time.
process is. Where there's 5 or 6 more steps and 5 or 6 more days that was getting added to that. He's thinking he's at 5 days or under most stores, and they were all over 10 days, closer to 12 days.
Wow.
And we talk about cutting your Recon time in half, and that's literal. I mean, we literally go into these stores and cut their Recon time in half. It's not like a marketing gimmick, or I'm gonna, one new car sale is gonna pay for your Recon tool. I mean, this has a huge impact financially for these dealerships, and cars cost more than they've ever cost before, and holding those cars for one more day, because your picture guy didn't show up, or because you didn't order parts by your part cutoff time. I mean, that has a major financial impact.
Absolutely.
And we did it the e-lead model. We took the part that's most important to us, which isn't just technology, it's people. And we used a lot of the things that we did at e-lead that made that the best CRM in the history of the auto industry. And we put those processes in place with Velocity, with performance, with trainers. We're still the only Recon company that actually sends a trainer out to the dealership
Every time.
to walk through
Wow.
and train the process, get buy-in. It's a 2-day process, but all our competition chooses to do that virtual. And it's very hard to get buy-in
Sure.
virtual.
Especially a new process they've never done before. Like with the CRM change, it's just a different software, but they know they have to enter it. They know, they're on their computers, they're doing it all a certain way. With this, I mean, it's a completely different process. They now have a tool to use, a button to push. They know that they're going to get alerted when it's their turn and their time, and that managers are watching this. So it really takes someone in the dealership to make that process stick, in most cases.
Well, they're touching detail. They're touching pictures. They're touching text. They're touching
Body
so many
shop,
parts
recalls.
that need to be trained. And
Absolutely.
everybody's got to buy in and see how it makes their job easier and faster. And when they see that, you don't get the resistance. I mean, it takes 30 days to get a normal store where they see the big improvement in time. But, it's a no-brainer piece of software when you partner with the right people, the right processes, and then we have performance people that make sure the dealer is using this, and we're having meetings with them, and we're making sure that we're seeing the improvements in time. And if there's somebody that stops doing a certain part, which happens in dealerships all across the nation,
Sure.
we're able to stay on top of that and get them back in gear so the whole workflow process continues out with a smooth, fast, improvement.
And I think it's really a lot easier than dealerships thought it would be. It's a workflow process with a timer, essentially. I mean, in its most simple form. When my part's done, your part begins and the timer goes, and there's all kind of alerting and things that happen so that it's as automated as it can be.
And it's all on a mobile app.
Yeah, so I think that, maybe the thought of having to change a process was scary in the beginning, but now we've been out, where thousands of dealerships have Recon software now, and it's not the crisis that they thought it was going to be to put in a Recon tool.
Absolutely. So obviously having a set workflow process is a huge advantage for dealers to, as you said, cut the Recon time in half. But could you expand on some other tools that Velocity provides to help with the Recon process?
Well, once we got into Velocity on the Recon side, we saw that there was more to that whole used car. And Velocity is about speeding up not just Recon in used cars, but speeding up the whole used car process from engagement to getting them into the digital retailing piece. And we really were excited 2 years ago when we brought out Velocity Engage, which is a digital portfolio that we're able to take, and it includes the original window sticker from the vehicle, service records, Recon records, and everything else that the dealer wants to be transparent with that consumer about that used vehicle. He can show anything he wants to, pictures, Carfax. I mean, it's a custom portfolio that he could put as many as 4 or 5 things or 10 things. Mm-hmm. And we talk about community, how all the things he does in the community to support the Champions of Charity. We feature stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So when the consumer buys into it being the perfect car, the perfect dealership, and he engages and knows he's making the right decision, close ratios go up, you sell more used cars, you get them in the digital retailing process a lot faster. So we've really, that's been a great, great product and tool for us, Engage.
Well, consumers are submitting less and less leads, right? So we now are tracking things like engagement instead of lead forms, because nobody wants to fill those out and then get 50 phone calls from all the local dealerships hounding them about buying a car. So one of the great things about the Engage portfolio is that it has heat mapping. So when it goes out to a customer, you can see where their engagement is. And what we find is a lot of dealerships will put this in as their autoresponder. So any customers that are, submitting leads, or maybe their first communication with the dealership, they get an automated portfolio that has all the things Hugh just mentioned. We know you like this car, so here's the service records, here's the window stickers, here's the brochure, here's my why buy from us. We're the best dealership in town. And all that happens automatically. So that
through
is
the CRM.
Right.
Push it through the CRM.
That's the first impression the customer has of the dealership. If I have everything that I need, or that I didn't even know that I needed, all in one place. I don't have to go now to 4 different websites, or click here and there and read all the different places on your website, which is essentially what we're doing. We're bringing all the major pieces of information into one portfolio and automatically sending it out. Even with price alerts. So like if dealerships change their pricing daily, weekly, and every time a price change happens on a car, one of those portfolios can go out as well. So that's been a good advantage the dealerships really like.
For sure, and it sounds like it makes the customer experience a little bit more enjoyable than, as you were saying, filling out the lead forms, getting 50 phone calls a day.
Right, and then calling the dealership and they can't answer your questions.
Right, yeah. So as we all know, the customer experience is arguably more important than ever. It's not just an option to provide a good customer journey. It's expected by the customer.
Right.
So obviously in the past, used car sales and new car sales have kind of had different journeys for the customer buying process. Is it important to morph those into more of a similar journey? What are you doing to?
Well, it definitely is. I think every used car customer wants to get a new car feel
For
or
sure.
a new car trust. And with Engage, it gives them everything they need to feel like they're buying a car that is just like a new car.
Sure.
As far as they're comfortable with the service records. If you're buying a new car, you're not worried about service, right? It's new. If you're buying a car and you see the Engage digital portfolio, you can see all the service work's been done. Here's how much money was spent in Recon by the dealer to get it to where it's perfect for the consumer. All the original window sticker equipment, the trim, everything, all the options that they can see, they want to see that.
Well, and I think that it's also about telling the story of that used car. I mean, every used car is different. Why is my, Honda Accord here maybe priced differently than the Honda Accord down the street, or whatever? And why should I pay more? Why should I do my business with you? You have one place where you can really tell the story of that car. Everything they need or want to know is in that portfolio, but the dealership can also justify their pricing, right? So we all know pricing is higher than it's ever been, and I can say that, well, we just put new tires on this. We just, did these 4 service items to the vehicle. Did the dealership down the street do that? If it's not listed, the customer's probably going to assume they didn't, or they can ask if it was or if it wasn't done to that vehicle. So the reconditioning and the service records being in that portfolio is really, really helpful, as well as the window stickers. And those are really the top 3 things we did most engagement with are pictures and videos, the service records, and the window stickers. Because the window stickers are going to show exactly what options are on the vehicle. So you might have a Nissan Altima and another Nissan Altima, but one has heated seats or one has a sunroof, or there might be even more specific mechanical things that, the engine size or whatever that a customer may not know to ask that makes
Sure.
the pricing different. And so it gives the salesperson, especially who might not be an expert on that off-brand, right? That they know exactly what they're talking about. They know how to answer the questions. They know what the vehicle comes equipped with. And that's been really helpful in the customer service part as well, because they can answer these questions
sure.
with more education. They know what they're talking about now.
But it gives the dealer a competitive advantage. If I'm a dealer and I'm sending out Velocity Engage with this information, it definitely is going to give him a huge advantage over his competition that's just sending out a generic autoresponder on their CRM or having the salesperson call them or the BDC. When the consumer gets this, they are not used to getting this type and level of transparency and
Right.
information. So, I mean, it more than pays for itself and increased sales.
And I think that all 3 of our products, we started with Recon, and one thing that we do a little differently is we regularly talk to our dealers, and actually had, come up with this Engage portfolio idea after having several meetings. We were doing some Recon meetings, and stores were kind of telling us, well, I wish we could show the service records. I wish we could show what we invested in Recon. I wish we could show that, and so we kind of over time took all these notes and talked with our team and developed this Engage portfolio. But all this comes directly from the dealers. And then, into our newest product, which is Velocity window stickers, same thing. Those came out of Engage. We saw that window stickers were like the top 1, 2, or 3 things that customers were spending the most time on. So this may be something, even as a standalone, that every dealership can use, customer facing or internally.
Absolutely.
And with window stickers now, Velocity window stickers, we're the largest window sticker provider in the auto industry now. We're setting up
Wow, congratulations.
100 to 200 new dealers a month. Nobody has a better inventory of window
Coverage.
stickers. Nobody has better pricing. We're flat rating it, and we're really changing that industry, because that industry was, the competition was charging like $3 or $4 a sticker, $4 a sticker, and before you know it, if you're pulling 500 or 600 stickers, that's a lot of money. And our average price for window stickers is around $500 a month.
Wow.
For a fixed rate product.
That's nice having the fixed rate option for sure.
No contracts. So.
Yeah. Well, great. And I loved what you were saying about listening to the dealers and what they were actually looking for from your company when you were developing your products. And this might not seem as vital in the big picture, but one complaint we hear from dealers often is that they have too many logins to remember and so many vendors and so many systems that they use. Why do you think this is a common complaint among dealers, and what are you doing to combat that?
Well, being a technology guy, for 20 years with eLead, the fewer logins you have, the better. It's just easier. It's faster. Car guys are impatient. They want to do things fast. So if you're on Viato and virtually everybody uses Viato for inventory control or for inventory management, you don't want to have to come off Viato to access a window sticker or see the portfolio or see the Recon records. With our tool, you don't have to. We have the Recon tool, the window stickers, all the portfolios in one password instead of 3 different companies. So it's faster, it's more integrated. And that's, besides price, it's easy to use. The easier you can make it to use, the faster it is, the better the dealer's gonna like it.
Yeah, there's so many great products out there, and we see a lot of them, even from an investor standpoint of how can we help? Was there new technology out there we might want to invest in, that kind of thing? But even just doing this for so long, there's so many little niches that that can be helpful. But when you have because we're in dealerships every day, right? So you go to a used car manager's computer and there's literally 20 tabs open.
Yeah.
And then they have to remember, there's so little you can't even see what the website is, so then they have to click through and try to pick up where they left off somewhere. And I think one of the best things we ever did was come up with Velocity Insight, which is the integration with the VIN numbers. So anywhere there's a VIN, you can just hover over and it brings in whatever tools you're on. So say you're on the whole platform, right? All 3 tools. So you can see where that VIN is in Recon if it's in your inventory, pull the window sticker, see if we've sent this portfolio to anyone. And that was really the game changer, I think, that made Velocity kind of explode and have such the quick growth, is because nobody else is doing that. And it's such a convenience for the dealer to be doing any other task in any other system, and anywhere there's a VIN number, it pulls it up.
That sounds extremely helpful for dealers, so thank you for sharing that. Very insightful. I love getting to know a little bit more about what you guys are doing over at Velocity, but if there's anything we didn't touch on today that you want to share with our audience, feel free to do so now.
No, I think that dealers out there are starting to see just how important an investment in improving your Recon process is. So we're really excited about the growth of Velocity Recon. But when you take all 3 tools and you're able to give a dealer, all of those products for under $1,000, it's really been a exciting time for us at Velocity. So we're excited about our growth, our sales, the team that we're putting together we're still only 4 years old. So everything's moving along really good. It's so good to be back to normal, where we can, be in dealerships and our people can be in dealerships and we can come out and do these things. So we're excited.
Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for being here. We're also excited to see how you grow in the future, and congratulations on all your success.
Thank you.
And we're looking forward to collaborating more with Champions of Charity.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in today.
Good time. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Executive Spotlight. Stay tuned for more.